When we're looking at putting up a tarp, we are mainly concerned about two things, and that is wind and rain. So wind will affect the stability of the tarp, and which way the wind is blowing will determine which way you site your tarp quite often. But with prevailing winds, we can usually work around a lot. But water is the major problem. So we're just going to take a quick look at how we can set up a tarp to deal with water effectively. So here I've got a big DD 4x4 tarp. As you can see, we've got quite a bit of water accumulating here in the center, and this is one of the big mistakes you tend to see with the way tarps are pitched incorrectly. And that is the problem, is because there's no place to run off. So in this case, we've got the ridge line here, which is supposed to be ideally the high point. But currently we have the wings out to side, so the sides of the tarp are held out at roughly the same level. So that means that any water that lands on the tarp will run away from the ridge line until it gets to the lowest point away from the edge of the tarp, and then you'll get water accumulation. Now there are a couple of ways to avoid this. Obviously the simplest way would be just to have this guy, the ridge line, significantly higher than the outside. So either raising the ridge line way up or bringing the corners or the edges of the tarp down. Problem with that is that means you will tend to lose your livable space within here. So it's nice to be able to walk through somewhere head height without having to get the tarp really high up. So here we have a DD 5x5 set up in a rectangular format rather than the diamond shape that we had with the 4x4 back there. And the bigger the tarp and the more rectangular you make it, the bigger the potential for sagging within the fabric. So once water is collected once, it'll tend to stretch out the fabric and you'll get a sagging and it'll collect even more. And as we can see, if we just have the corners guide out in a standard box shape, then we can quickly collect water in the middle there, because those corners are higher than they need to be to get a good steep runoff. If we were talking in terms of building a shelter or building a house, we'd talk about roof pitch, and pitch is basically the angle that it needs to be at to be able to shed whatever you need to. So the steeper the angle, the better it'll shed snow, but to shed water you need to have a good, like somewhere around 45-degree angle to be able to shed water effectively. But an easy way to create drainage on a square tarp is just, while still keeping that livable space underneath, is to guy out the center of our tarp. If we take a guy line here and run it down to a peg on the ground and tighten that up, we create this runoff down here. As long as we tighten this enough here that we create a low enough point, all of the water catchment from this area over here will flow down to this low point and then gradually drip its way down. Pro tip though, have a think about where the stream of water from this is going to end up. If where you're guying down your tarp is on the uphill side of your camp, you'll have a river washing away everything within it. So make sure that you go on either side of a downhill run if you want the water to drain effectively once it's left the tarp. As I said earlier, one of the key ways that you can drain water effectively is to drop one side lower. Now obviously the equal and opposite approach applies as well, which is, what if we make one corner higher? So either find a tree that we can get a line over the top of a fork and pull it up and get size higher, or like I often advocate for, these washing line poles. Just a nice pole that you can push up. A bit of hazel with a fork in the end works reasonably well as well. the advantage of these is the little hook they have in the end that catches onto that loop and means that even if the wind pulls up, you're not going to have this pole just disappear from you. But here, just because this side was a little too low, so it wasn't draining properly, even with my drainage line here, I just went ahead and propped up that edge just to get that better angle so it flows smoothly, because we want to get a consistent flow. As soon as it starts to build up in an area, we're either going to have drought and flood at the end, or it's just not going to drain, it's going to start sagging and stretching out our tarp. So there we go. I hope you found that helpful in navigating water runoff your tarp. But if you would like to learn more, and if you would like to be able to put cathedral-like tarps like this up in under 6 minutes, then do check out my online course, Essential Tarps and Knots for Forest School Leaders. It is based on 10 years of experience putting up these tarps, full of tips and tricks like those drip lines, and designed specifically for people who struggle with tarps and knots, who really would like to be able to put these up quickly and efficiently and have them just work during the session so they can focus on the really important things, which is working with the participants. So do check that out. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And remember to make the most of every day.